Hi friends, in last class we started the introductory chapter of Indian polity subject. Now in this class we will have a revision of certain topics and we will move further. Let us start with Constituent Assembly or the constitution making body. Constituent Assembly or the Constitution Assembly was a body constituted was a body enacted to frame the Indian Constitution. Now, when was this body enacted? The election for the Constituent Assembly was held on July 1946. That means the election for the Constitution Assembly was held in year 1946 in the month of July. The question can come from here, when was the election for the Constitution Assembly held? It was held in 1946 July. Now, from where the members of the Constitution Assembly were elected? The members of the Constitution Assembly were elected from Provisional Assembly. From each provinces, certain members were elected to form the Constitution Assembly. So it is clear that the members of the Constitution Assembly were elected from the Provincial Assembly. Now, initially what happened was Muslim League boycotted Constitution Assembly. Now, why did Muslim League boycott it? Muslim League wanted a separate nation called as Pakistan. So it was clear from their part that if we are asking for a separate nation called as Pakistan, then why shall we part of a assembly for which is constituted to make the Constitution of India? So Muslim League boycotted the Constitution Assembly. The first section of the Constitution Assembly was held on December 1946. The first section of Constitution Assembly was held on 9th December 1946. Now friends, when the first section of the Constitution Assembly was held on 9th December 1946, there was a need of an interim president. Why there was a need of an interim president? The interim president was given the responsibility, or he had to take the responsibility of conducting the election of the first president of the Constitution Assembly. So the interim president, interim president was selected for 2 days, and the first interim president of the Constitution Assembly was Dr Sachidanand Sinha. So Dr Sachidanand Sinha was the interim president of the Constitution Assembly. And after first meeting on 9th December 1946, the election procedure to elect the president of the Constituent Assembly went on for 2 days, and on 11th December 1946, Dr Rajendra Prasad became the first president of the Constitution Assembly. Now, whatever has happened, we will revise it. See, election for the Constitution Assembly was held on 1946 in the month of July. From where the members were elected? The members were elected from the Provincial Assembly. Now it is clear that members were elected from the Provincial Assembly. Now what happened was Muslim League boycotted. Since Muslim League boycotted, because they was asking for a separate nation called as Pakistan. Now what happened was, first section of the Constitution Assembly, when was the first day, on which day the Constitution Assembly met for first time? It was held on 9th December 1946. 9th December 1946, the Constitution Assembly met for the first time. Now, after the first meeting, it was decided that Dr Sachidanand Sinha will be acting as the interim president of the Constitution Assembly. Now, Dr Sachidanand Sinha was given the responsibility to elect the president of the Constitution Assembly. So on 11th December 1946, Dr Rajendra Prasad became the first president of the Constitution Assembly, and later on he went to become the first president of India. Now, the Constitution Assembly had 22 committees. Total it had 22 committees. Now, 4 committees were key. 4 committees were very much instrumental in performing their duties, and these were the key constitutional committees. The first committee was drafting committee, and Dr BR Ambedkar was the chairman, and he is also known as the father of Indian Constitution, BR Ambedkar. The second committee was headed by Nehru. It was Union Committee. The third major committee was also headed by Jawaharlal Nehru. It was State Committee, and the Provincial Committee was headed by Sardar Vallabhai Patel. The 4 major committee was, the drafting committee was headed by BR Ambedkar, Union Committee was headed by Nehru, State Committee was headed by Nehru, and the provisional committee was headed by Sardar Vallabhai Patel. Now, in the constitution, there is a word called as enacting clause. When you open the first page of the constitution, the preamble page, there is an enacting clause. Now you might doubt, what does this enacting clause means? Enacting clause is a date, that is 26 November 1949 is termed as enacting clause. On this date, the Constitution of India was made. After 2 years 11 months and 18 days it took to form the Indian Constitution. After 2 years, 11 months, 18 days, Indian Constitution was enacted on 26 November 1949. On this day, certain provisions were adopted. Not all the provisions were not adopted, but certain provisions like citizenship were adopted on this date. That is, on the date of enacting clause, certain provisions were adopted on 26 November 1949. Rest of the provisions of the Constitution came into force on 26 January 1950, which is also celebrated as, or also decorated as, India's first Republic Day. So on 26 November 1949, certain provisions were only adopted like citizenship, and rest of the provisions came into effect on 26 January 1950. Now, friends, when the Constitution was initially made, it had only 395 articles. Now it has 485 articles. Earlier it had only 22 parts. It was divided into 22 parts. Now it has 25 parts. And it has earlier it has 8 schedules. Now it has 12 schedules. Now, friends, where from your exam point of view, what questions can be asked from this portion? This portion is, the questions will be simply asked, like 8 schedules were there initially, now there are 12 schedules. So they will directly ask the question, when and according to the which amendment of Indian Constitution 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th schedule were added in Indian Constitution. According to which amendment 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th schedule were added to Indian Constitution, and in which year these schedules were added in Indian Constitution. Now what is an amendment? See, it is a process. A constitution, you know guys, constitution is a legal document. Any change, any kind of alteration done to this constitution, it can be adding of a law, removing of a law, changing a law, or all these things, any kind of change made in the constitution by altering the existing law is called as an amendment. Now it is quite evident that to add, earlier it had 8 schedules, so it was more evident that to add 9th, 10th and 11th, 12th schedule, we needed to have, the Parliament of India needed to have certain amendments. So in order to add the first schedule, 9th schedule, it was added in year 1951 according to the first amendment. As per the first amendment, when this document was amended for the first time Indian Constitution was amended in 1951, and this amendment was to add the 9th schedule in Indian Constitution. So in 1951, from 8 schedules, now our Constitution had 9 schedule. Now when was 10th schedule added? It was added in year 1985 according to, as per the 52nd amendment. When 52nd amendment was done, for the Constitution was amended for the 52nd time, the 10th schedule was added in Indian Constitution. Now friends, you might have a doubt, there are around 50 amendments which has been in between this first amendment and 52nd amendment. What were they done for? Actually, those amendments were done for adding or removing some other articles or laws in the Constitution. It was not for the purpose of adding any schedule. So we are here only talking about schedules. So we are discussing those amendments which only dealt with the schedules. After 9th, it was first amendment in 1951. 10th schedule was added by 52nd amendment in year 1985, and 11th schedule was added in year 1992, and 12th schedule was added in year 1992, and it was as per 73rd and 74th amendment. Now friends, let us revise this. Let us simply revise this once again. See, ninth schedule was added in year 1951 and constitution was amended for the first time. 10th schedule was added in year 1985 and the constitution was amended at that time for the 52nd time to add the 10th schedule. 11th and 12th schedule were added in same year 1992 and 73rd and 74th amendment. Guys, questions can be asked from this portion. So while learning, don't forget to remember the years and the amendments. Now let us move on to the next page. Now let us talk about majority. Now what is a majority? When in parliament or in legislature, like we have legislature called as Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, when voting takes place there on any account for to decide any factor, voting takes place. Like suppose in a class there are 50 students. 50 students are there and we need to elect a class monitor or something. So, and two people are standing, two people are candidates, two students are the candidates, and in order to elect one person as the monitor, more than at least 25 people should vote or 25 students to vote in favor of the candidate in order to elect that person as the monitor. So this is a kind of majority. When majority wishes, things happen, or when majority wishes, things not happen. See, in case once a bill is presented in parliament and more than 50% is saying that the bill is on a right aspect and it should be passed, then the majority is wishing that the bill should be passed. And if they are rejecting the bill and more than 50% of people are saying that bill is not in a right proportion, then they are rejecting the bill. Then the majority is wishing that the bill should not pass. This is called as majority. Now, as per Indian Constitution, there are certain majorities. Now, let us talk about what are these majorities. Now, let us erase this portion and let us talk about majorities. The first majority is simple majority. What is a simple majority? See, it is very simple. Like in Lok Sabha, we have 545 members, and in Rajya Sabha, we have 245 members. Now, what is a simple majority? See, in order to pass a bill or in order to pass anything, we need a simple majority. Now, here we are only talking about simple majority. Simple majority states that more than 50% of member present and voting. 50% of member present and voting. That means, now what exactly students do is they will do 545 upon 2 plus 1. This is 50%. But this thing is wrong. You shouldn't do like that, because that will give you a wrong answer. See, you in every subject, especially in competitive exams, you have to focus on each word. Present and voting. What this means, present and voting. See, if there are total 545 members, on the day of voting, it is not necessary that each member should be present. It is not necessary. Some members might be dead also. Some members might be absent also. See, so if 5 members are dead and 10 members are absent, now how many members are left? 530. 530 members are left. But when voting takes place, before the voting procedure, certain members are abstained. Now, what do you mean by abstained? When the speaker or the chair asks the person to, when the chair asks the person or the member to leave out of the house because they are not following the decorum of house, that is called as abstain. See, if 30 members are abstained, now total how many members have gone? 5 are dead, they won't be present for voting. 10 are absent, they won't be present for voting, and 30 are abstained. See, now total 45 members are not there. So how many members are left? Only 500. More than half of this 500 will give simple majority. More than half of this 500, that will give simple majority. Means we are not considering people who are dead, we are not considering people who are absent, we are not considering people who are abstain, we are considering only those people who are present and only those people who are voting. So more than half of 500 will give us simple majority. So I hope this is clear with you what exactly simple majority says. Now, where is the concept of simple majority, where it is used? Now, you have to know this also, where we use simple majority. In our constitution, it is clearly said that, see, in order to remove the president of India, this majority is to be used. In order to remove the vice president of India, this majority is to be used. But our constitution clearly says that simple majority can be used everywhere where the constitution is silent and where the constitution is exactly not saying which kind of majority is to be used. So simple majority can be used exactly everywhere where the constitution is silent, which kind of majority is to be used. So there we use simple majority. Now let us talk about next type of majority. What is that? That is absolute majority. Now what is absolute majority? Now let us erase this. Now let us erase this and let us know what is absolute majority. Let us erase it fast. Now we have erased this because here we can do certain rough work. Okay. Now what is absolute majority? See, earlier in simple majority we talked that certain people would be dead, certain people would have resigned, and certain people would have been abstained. But in case of absolute majority, if the Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha need to conduct voting by absolute majority, it is for sure that no member should be absent, dead, or abstain. If a person is dead, the re-election has to be conducted from that part of the constituency, and then he have to be inducted into the house. Then the procedure of election needs to be conducted. So in case of absolute majority, no member of the house can be absent, abstain, or resign. So for example, let us take example of Lok Sabha. If Lok Sabha has 545 members, the absolute majority will be 545 upon 2 plus 1. If Rajya Sabha has 245 members, it will be 245 plus 245 upon 2 plus 1, more than 50% of the total strength of the house. 50%, more than 50%, more than 50% of total strength. No one should be absent. No, not even a single person should be absent.